If selling ridiculously basic artwork for millions of dollars is appealing to you, you might want to hang in here and learn more about selling NFTs, which are non-fungible tokens. But are NFTs here to stay, or are they just proof of an ever-growing economic hyper bubble? So an NFT, or a non-fungible token, can be art, music, collectibles, even tweets. Jack Dorsey, founder of Twitter, recently sold the NFT of his first tweet for $1 million. So an NFT is basically a digital representation of something. At the moment, the most popular NFTs are digital artwork, and some of these pieces are selling for ridiculous amounts. Every Day's The First 5,000 Days by Beeple, which is a collection of his daily drawings over 5,000 days, sold for $69.3 million. Cryptopunk 7804 sold for $7.5 million. Cryptopunks 3000 for $7.1 million. Entrepreneur Justin Sun recently bought a clip art image of a rock for over $500,000. Influencers, you've probably seen, they're out there shilling their own NFTs, making millions of dollars. And even Visa, the company, dropped over $150,000 on an NFT, which they added to its collection of historic artifacts. Now, regular investors, they can also speculate on NFTs at more manageable amounts of a couple of $100s, and you can occasionally snag free NFTs when artists run promotions. So right now, billions in transactions of NFTs are happening every single month. So needless to say, artists, including influencers, are trying their hand at cashing in on this trend. Now, anybody can create an NFT and list them on these sites for sale. Some of these auction websites, of course, are a bit more selective than others. They're only going to accept accomplished artists or those who have a social following. Other marketplaces, they're open to anybody. You can create an NFT and list on them. OpenSea, one of the more popular NFT online marketplaces, recently raised $100 million with a valuation of $1.5 billion, yes, with a B. And, you know, it's a new company. They sell digital art. They're valued at $1.5 billion. Sports collectible NFT projects, they just raised $930 million in just a week, with digital collectibles company Dapper Labs reaching a $7.6 billion, again with a B, valuation. Creating NFTs, that's known as minting. It does cost money to mint your art, and some artists, many I expect, are never even going to sell their art or make their money back. Now, depending on the price of Ethereum at the time, that's the most used crypto to conduct these NFT transactions, your cost to list that first item is going to range between about $150 to $250, potentially more. You're also going to pay a commission when and if your art sells of about 15%. Now, to begin listing NFTs, the seller needs to have some Ether, as all transactions are handled in crypto, mostly Ethereum. And the blockchain validates the exclusive owners of these unique pieces. Now, we're not going to dig too deeply into the creation or listing of NFTs. Maybe in a future video, we'll do a step-by-step and actually list some artwork on one of these sites. Now, keep in mind, it is potentially just the ground floor for these NFTs. So if you've got some talent, you could potentially become one of these incredibly successful $1 million artists, or you could waste a couple of $100. So there's a lot of positivity, a lot of hype around NFTs for sure, but could these things just be an elaborate Ponzi scheme? Some people are suggesting so, or evidence of an overheated economy. Nobody knows for sure, but most people tend to have a highly emotional opinion one way or another. Now, there's essentially two ways that this could go. NFTs could create a digital art renaissance. Ongoing adoption of cryptos could drive the widespread acceptance of digital art. And one day you could see people around the world hanging their NFTs proudly up on their walls at a price point that they could afford. You got to keep in mind that at one point, nobody had art on their walls at all. Today, most people are hanging stuff on their walls, and many investors buy art. And traditional art historically has always been a sound investment. There's absolutely no reason that digital art might not become so as well. So that's the best case scenario. A new market, a new paradigm in NFTs continue to proliferate. Now, the worst case scenario, of course, is the economy tanks, taking with it many of these highly speculative investments, and I use that term loosely. Now, there's certainly historical precedent, and The Madness of Crowds, it's a great book if you've ever read it. It's also a well-known sociological phenomenon that's manifested throughout history with cyclical regularity and predictability. Now, most of you know about the tulip bubble, which is annoyingly referenced often by detractors of Bitcoin. And there's been multiple scenarios throughout history that followed an eerily similar pattern to what we are seeing today. So the South Sea bubble of 1720, an overheated market led to wild speculation. Investors piled into anything, no matter how insane, including a company that built square cannonballs, a company who claimed to be designing a perpetual motion machine, and one company raised money for carrying on an undertaking of great advantage, but no one to know what it is. So people were investing in nothing. Now, in that case, the bubble popped, everybody went broke, the economy was decimated, and most people don't know this, but Britain, the UK, is still paying the debt on the South Sea disaster today. Just before the Great Depression in 1929, working people could invest with only 10% down, and many people became leveraged up to the hilt, making fortunes in the stock market. Now, everybody was enjoying it, making a ton of money. They even built brokerage houses on ships. And a newspaper article at the time read, "The American businessman will be able to take a vacation in Europe without stopping for a single day, his transactions at the center of speculation." Now, the Great Depression, we all know how that ended. Tulip mania, that was back in the 1630s. The Dutch, they had the most sophisticated economy in the world at the time. They all piled into tulip speculation, driving prices up to insane levels. Everyone making crazy money until the market tanked in 1637, leaving everyone wondering why they had been so silly. We can go way back to the 4th century when Diocletian destroyed the economy of Rome with inflation and poor policy decisions. The Medici scheme of 1494, collapse of the banks, Spanish inflation in the 1600s that destroyed the empire, Mississippi bubble of 1716, boom, bust, happened over and over again with very similar dynamics to what we are seeing today. And today we've got GameStop, we've got trillions in debt, we've got insane valuations, we've got investors who are flocking to any startup that moves, millions going to dubious Kickstarter campaigns, hundreds of crypto coins with influencers doing these pump and dumps, and again, reckless speculation in the markets, often from people who can't afford to lose that money. And once again, a general refusal to consider that history may repeat. Most people saying, hey, this time it's different. A correction is going to come again. That's for certain. And this one is likely to be global. The question is, though, will cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, and potentially even digital assets like these NFTs be the saviors of a collapsing, archaic economy, or just a footnote that historians are going to use to illustrate how naive people were back in the 2020s? I have no idea. Be interesting to hear your points on the situation. Leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.